Welcome to Fair Game. I'm Kristine Leahy, and my guest today stars as an arrogant lawyer, Howard Hamlin, on AMC's Breaking Bad spinoff, Better Call Saul. But what you may not know is that he's also appeared on some of the greatest shows of all time, from Friends to 24 to Saved by the Bell, and he's spilling some backstage secrets today. Patrick Fabian is here. Patrick, so good to meet you. I've seen you on so many different shows, and I want to get to all of them.
Absolutely. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Breaking Bad, I feel like everyone's seen that. I binge watched that myself. You were on Better Call Saul, but is it true that you never actually watched Breaking Bad before you got that role?
I did not, and I hate to start off the show blaming my wife, but I'm going to blame my wife because she was 8 or 9 months pregnant at the time when Breaking Bad first started hitting.
Okay.
And so we sit down to watch it. And like literally after the pilot, she turns to me and she's like, yeah, I'm not on board with this one. I mean, she's rubbing the miracle of life in her belly and stuff. So I'm like, that's fine. We're not going to do that.
It's dark.
It was dark. And then we have a baby and we watch a lot of, Super Y and, Clifford the Big Red Dog, which I can tell you all about in case you wanted to know. And then Breaking Bad continues, and then we have a second kid. So then we still don't watch it. And maybe it's a miracle. For the entire run of Breaking Bad, I've seen the billboards on Sunset Boulevard, I see them win Emmys, and I don't watch another episode. Then I get this audition for Better Call Saul. And I think, oh, well, I know how successful that Breaking Bad has been, so obviously they're gonna hire a movie star and stuff like that, so, what's the point of kind of even going in? It's like, so I go in because the casting directors for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul also cast The Walking Dead.
Okay.
So I thought, oh, okay. Maybe if I do a good job, I could get like a 3-episode arc on The Walking Dead and a zombie will eat me. That was what I was going in for.
And little did you know that you're going to now be... So have you seen Breaking Bad now? I
got the job and we immediately started binge watching that weekend. Ate the whole thing in one fell swoop. And of course it was that whole like, oh my gosh. And in some respects, it was the first thing I ever binged. Other than the regular fans who had watched it as it was doled out over years, we got that full cinematic scope of like one long Breaking Bad movie. So whenever the ending came up and you're like, oh, I want more, I was right in. I
always say that I'm jealous of the people who are watching like that or Game of Thrones now because they don't have to wait for the next episode to air.
No, I mean it cuts both ways because I do like that feeling, and now people who are watching Saul on Monday nights get the same sort of thing of like, I want more, and I think that that whets the appetite. There's something to be said for that. But if you get a chance to be like, I'm just gonna stay up and stay up. Unfortunately though, we also had 2 children at the time. So it's 3 in the morning and your wife and I are looking at each other saying like, do you wanna do one more? The kids are getting up at 6 a.m. and we're watching Breaking Bad till 4. So we're like this in the morning.
Okay, so on these kind of shows, people can die at any time, right?
You sure can.
So when you get a script, do you like go to the end, the last few pages, just to see if you've made it through?
Job 1. I called Ray Seahorn and I said, have you read it yet? She goes, no. I'm like, call me back in 20.
So characters from Breaking Bad are kind of slowly coming into Better Call Saul. A lot of people want to see Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul.
Everybody wants to see Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul come back, yeah.
Any chance in season 5?
Well, should I announce it now?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Here's your camera.
If I tell you when or if Bryan and Aaron come back, I will immediately lose my job. So the answer is we're going to have to wait and see. Oh, cameraman even was like, dude, you didn't do that.
Then you'll get killed off and you'll have to go to the end of the script and you'll find out you're dead.
Oh, page 1, Howard gets a knife in the head. Well, here's the thing. Since Better Call Saul is slowly linking up to Breaking Bad, I mean, we've seen almost everybody else from Breaking Bad start to litter.
Yeah,
so,
it has to happen.
You would think so, but I'm not the guy who makes that decision.
Okay, if you were the guy to make the decision, you had to pick one person from Breaking Bad that comes on, who would it be?
I think I'd bring Walter White.
You have to,
You have to, right? I mean, we want to see what's going on with that.
Okay, I want to talk more about your shows in just a little bit because we've been on some of my absolute favorites. But you are from Central Pennsylvania, so does that make you a Steelers fan?
Yes, if you're in Central PA, you're either Philly or Pittsburgh, but my dad's from Pittsburgh, and so I grew up during the Super Bowl glory years of the 70s, and so my grandmother would cut out all of the Pittsburgh Gazette and Press and send me all the clippings.
Oh, wow.
I had Terry Bradshaw on my wall, Mean Joe Green, Jack Lambert. I had like the Velcro wristbands. I had headbands, socks, and I kept them for years. Yeah.
Thoughts on Le'Veon Bell's holdout?
I don't know about the business about football to say he did bad for himself, but all I know is that his talent I mean, he lost a year of playing in the NFL. That can't be good. Certainly wasn't good for the Steelers.
No.
I hope it's financially good for him eventually. But what it did to the team was make the team distracted. All I know is that instead of talking about the team, we were talking about him for the first 5-6 weeks. So that's not good. The only good thing about it is that James Conner gets to get up and show like, oh yeah, I know how to play football too. And so I'm thankful for that.
That's true. That's
it's
true.
still a team sport. I'm curious to see how this all pans out. And I don't know. It was...
So I heard you were also the spokesperson for a hospital in Green Bay, and that turned out to be the Packers official hospital.
Yeah.
Random.
I get a job. It's for a regional hospital in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's all that sort of like straight down the barrel of the camera, like the Allstate guy saying, I'm selling fear and the solution in 60 seconds. And so I get this job and I go to Green Bay, and it turns out that Bellin Hospital is the official hospital of the Green Bay Packers, and they work and treat with all the players. So it's a small town in Green Bay if you've never been there. It's literally like 110,000 people or something. It's awesome. And so I ended up meeting Bart Starr, Paul Hornung, Brett Favre. I become a passing acquaintance to Mason Crosby, who's also my fantasy kicker.
Oh, did that work in your favor?
It did when I first had him years ago, you know, but it was just so weird. I got to see games in Lambeau up in the box, on the field. It was so great. I became a real Packer backer without a doubt.
Oh,
and Jordy Nelson, they had a whole campaign with me and him.
Oh,
yeah,
look at you.
It was a whole sort of like, you know, men need to go to the doctor too, that sort of thing. So at one point, there was there was buses in Green Bay that had Jordy Nelson and me plastered all over them, and I thought, well, I guess I can die now.
I mean, that's the coolest. Which is better, getting that role or like a movie role?
I don't know. It was pretty awesome to be with Jordy.
So you also went to Penn State. You graduated in '87. They won a national championship while you were there.
Yes, when I graduated was the year that they beat Miami in the Orange Bowl.
What was that like?
It was fantastic. Nothing better than being, you know, at game day in State College in the fall. And it was really great to have them win. And also, you know, Joe Paterno was the coach then, obviously, and we would run into him on campus all the time. I was in the theater arts building. I was an actor in college, and there was these fields in the north part of campus, and his house that he'd had forever was just north of campus, and he'd come out and walk his dogs. And when he would walk his dogs, you'd want to talk about the game and go, Jopa, and talk to him. He always wanted to find out what you were doing, how are you doing in school, what you were doing, and this sort of thing. When he found out I was in the theater department, he was like, how are your shows, what's going on? My wife and I got to try and get to him. And you try and steer the conversation to football, and he always wanted to steer it back to you. So my experiences with him personally were great. And then, of course, at the time, the frenzy of Jopa mania, we had a cardboard cutout of him in our dorm room that lived with us as well.
Yeah, so were you surprised when everything came out?
It was really hard. And you know, there's a really great documentary called Happy Valley, made by somebody who was not from Central PA, who was not in football, and they sort of came and sort of documented the idea of like what it's like to place football so high, and what it's like to be in a culture of winning and all that sort of thing. And it examines it, I think, in a very sober way, in a very accurate way. And I know I've spent a lot of time trying to drive the car around to park it in a place where I can venerate and keep my old feelings for the entire coaching staff with what went on. And the fact of the matter is, you know, a lot was ignored at the peril of children, and that can't be. You know, in the end, how do you make peace with that? I don't know if you do make peace with it.
No, that's how I always felt, is when there are children being harmed, you do everything you possibly can, including losing your job, to make that stop.
Everything. And the fact that that wasn't done is, you know, a black stain. A black stain that can't be corrected.
Yeah.
Because of the length of time that it went on.